Partygate is back. Yes, I know there are many of you who say it's just a storm in a teacup, but please think this through. When the story first broke, this is what the Prime Minister told the House of Commons.
I've been repeatedly assured since these allegations emerged that there was no party and that no COVID rules were broken, and that is what I have been repeatedly assured. But I've asked the Cabinet Secretary to establish all the facts and to report back as soon as possible. And, Mr. Speaker, it goes without saying that if those rules were broken, then there will be disciplinary action for all those involved.
And the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, was even clearer that there had not been any parties.
People across the country made great personal sacrifice during the lockdown. So will the Chancellor categorically deny in the House that he or any of his officials or SPADs attended any of the Downing Street Christmas parties on the 27th of November or the 18th of December last year?
Chancellor?
No, Mr. Speaker, I did not attend any parties.
There you are. But I'm afraid to say the Metropolitan Police take a very different view, and Boris Johnson is the first serving British Prime Minister to be fined for breaking the law. A law, of course, that he made, and it is a criminal sanction. Mrs Johnson is fined too. They both apologised and paid their fines. For Rishi Sunak, well, what a rotten week it's been for him. Fined for going to a big booze-up party when he's a teetotaler. It really must be all just too much to bear. There are many believe, though, that this is not the end of Partygate, it's just the beginning of round two. Now, there is no doubt that if this had come out 2 months ago, Boris Johnson would have been gone. The no confidence letters would have absolutely flooded in. And questions are going to persist as to whether he and Rishi Sunak misled the House of Commons. But today, all those critics are in hiding. You won't find Conservative MPs saying Boris ought to go. And the reason is, of course, the war in Ukraine, where not only is he seen to have done well, and I have to say, he has given real leadership over it. Sad he hasn't done more on the domestic scene. But the real argument is you can't get rid of a Prime Minister during the middle of a war. Well, I tell you what, in July 1945, the voters of this country took a very different view on Winston Churchill. We were still locked in mortal combat with Japan. There were many, including the American General MacArthur, who thought the war could go on for years, and it wasn't until nuclear bombs were dropped a month after that election that the war with Japan ended. So what is going to happen? Well, my guess is that Boris Johnson will survive for now. But I have to say, the whole Conservative Party is mired in scandal. It seems to get worse every day. And it feels to me very like the mid-1990s with every day that passes. Now, a couple of companies have done some snap polling in the last few hours, and 60% of the population think Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak should resign. Worse still, 75% of people think the Prime Minister lied about the COVID rules and what he did. You may well be sitting at home thinking, look, I don't care about all this. I care about bigger, more important things. But if you've now got 25%, perhaps even slightly higher, 25% of those who voted Conservative at the last election who think the Prime Minister should go, well, unless he can turn that around, and I'm not so sure that he can, then I think the Conservatives are inevitably heading towards a complete drubbing at the next general election.